In America, we don't turn to government to restore ourselves. We put our faith in Almighty God. You voted to make America great again. We are making America greater than ever before, and it's happening before your eyes. We will rekindle new faith in our values, new pride in our history, and a new spirit of unity that can only be realized through love for our great country. The American people voted to reject this corrupt globalism. This is the most important election in the history of our country. And yet, despite all of our greatness as a nation, everything we have achieved is now in danger. We will never give up. We will never concede. It doesn't happen. And when I'm reelected, the best is yet to come.
Live from America, you're listening to the Hip Hop Patriot, Jeremy Herrell.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is live from America, and today is Tuesday, April 13th, year of our Lord 2021. I am your ever so humble, God-fearing, but definitely God-loving host, Jeremy Herrell, the one and only hip-hop patriot, and you guys are the one and only Live from America family, and it's growing every day. I want to thank you all for joining in on the first hour of your day and dedicating your time to this show, dedicating your support to this show, and it truly is what makes this show so amazing, so strong. And as somebody reached out to me the other day, and they said, you know what's weird? And I said, what's that? And they said, you look like you'll have like around 30,000 followers, but you'll get like 2,500 to 3,000 people who watch live. He said, I know people with 300,000 and 400,000 followers who can't get 300 and 400 viewers to watch live. What does that say about the Live from America family, the LFA family? It means we're dedicated. It means we are one of the next to Steve Bannon, we are one of the most action-itemed, determined, work hard group that there is out there watching a show or being a part of a show. So I want to thank you all so very much. Seriously, sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, what you guys do for me, for my family, and what we do for each other in order to make a difference in this world is unstoppable. It can't be matched, and it's definitely anointed by God, and we are walking with Jesus. So thank you all very much. And for all you newcomers, this show's very different. All right, as you can see, even with the sunglasses, very, very different. Ain't nobody out there calling himself a hip-hop patriot. Ain't nobody out there wearing sunglasses doing a show. But everything here is very unique. Everything here is very grassroots, and we are definitely one of a kind. So thank you. I encourage you to hit that little thumbs up down there. Even if you got to jump out of the chat real quick, exit out of the chat, hit the like button, and you jump right back into live chat. And definitely copy the link, send it to some friends, and share the video. So we have live people watching right now on YouTube. We have people watching live on the website. For the people listening on the podcast, I want to thank you and encourage you to make sure that you wear your seatbelt and be careful. Don't laugh too hard during this show while you're driving your car, listening to the podcast. And for those who watch later on, I want to thank you all for your support and your help. And even though you're not watching the show live, it feels like you're watching the show live when you're watching it because of the comments and just the fact that you know you're part of this family. All right, so I want to give some live shout outs, as we do every morning, to Anita Brown from Pennsylvania, Kenneth Rushing watching from the wonderful Midwest state of Indiana, Sandra Oliver is watching from Alabama, a state that I have never been, but I will be soon. Storm Janisek says, hello, Patriots. Carol Zier watching from Illinois. We have Joni Wyatt and Jackie Barber watching from Portage, Michigan. Susan Peterson watching from the very, very controversial right now, but shouldn't be, but wonderful state of Arizona. Kim Hoffmeyer is watching. Kim and Jan both. Michael Stutler is watching from Florence, Kentucky. We have Firefly watching from Michigan. Rose Burkois watching from Florida. I want to thank you, Rose, for taking some time away from your beautiful sunshine life down in Florida and giving it right here to this show. Andy Reid is watching, and a couple more here. Earl Pettit and Lauren Cole. She says, I'm definitely dedicated. I never forget this time every day. Well, God bless you, girl. God bless you. Stacy Whitsitt says, shout out, Jeremy. Well, shout out to you too, Stacy. And I just want to, the one thing we've always done here on this show. One, we've always wore sunglasses. Always. Okay? Because the show started out in the backyard. Then it came in front of these big lights. And then I said, yeah, you know what? Now it's kind of a brand. And the other thing that I've always done, and I will never stop, even when we make our move to digital TV, I will never stop giving shout outs to people who are watching live if I can see you. Because this is all of our show. This isn't just my show. This is all of our show. It definitely has the atmosphere and the ambiance of everybody. You walk into the studio. I showed you some behind the scenes yesterday. You walk into the studio and it feels like all of us are in here. Because you guys send me so many amazing gifts. I have still so many to open. I have about 100 cards going out today that I hand wrote. And it's just, we're all one big family. So I'd also like to give a huge shout out to Janice Smiley. Wait until you see what Janice Smiley sent. Not something for me, but something for somebody much more deserving than me. And that is my beautiful, wonderful wife, Sabrina Herrell. She sent a huge, massive coffee cup that says Jeremy's Slurpee Cup. Maybe as much as I cry and whine at home, maybe this should be Jeremy's Sippy Cup. But thank you so much, Janice, for this wonderful cup. I know my wife will definitely enjoy it. I'd also like to thank, I hope I say this right, Addery Crafts. Melissa W. from Addery Crafts. She made me these wonderful crocheted coasters, these red, white, and blue crocheted coasters for my coffee cup. So I can't wait to use one. I can't wait to pull one out and use this for my coffee cup and also for plates and bowls. And you can find her on Etsy at Addery Crafts. Adory Crafts, Addery Crafts. And while you're there, make sure that you also check out Kind Embroidery too, because she is amazing and she makes the Never Bet Against Trump hats and the Hip Hop Patriot hats. I would also like to thank Laura Corbett, because Laura Corbett sent me this amazing America hat. I can't never have enough. You know what? I have a lot of flat brim hats, but I love baseball caps too. I want to thank her so very much for that. But she also sent me these keychains and bracelets. Check these out. So the keychain says the best is yet to come, and the bracelet looks like it'll fit my wife. Definitely won't fit me. Is a cross. I know you can't see that, but just amazing gifts. I got more over there to open, which I'll open after the show. But I'm constantly getting things delivered, or I have to go pick things up. And I appreciate all of your kindness. I appreciate all of your love for the show. And now I want to ask you to do something else. I want to ask you to help me pray for a wonderful woman who just passed away. Her name is Maria, and I hope I say her last name right, Maria Giambrone. Now, Maria Giambrone is the grandmother, or was the grandmother, of Rosaria Barbera. Now, Rosaria Barbera watches this show. She's a friend of mine on Instagram. She's a dedicated person to this show, okay? And I just seen this real quick before I just want to pop this in. Cameron says, please give me a shout out. So there you go, Cameron. There's your shout out. I caught it, and I want to make sure I do that. But Maria Giambrone, she just passed away, and it's the grandmother of Rosaria, and Rosaria asked us to, pray for their family, for the mourning that they're going through. But we know the great thing about passing away on this earth, folks, the wonderful thing is that we get to go to God. And we know that Maria and her late husband, who died last year of cancer, is also up there with God. They're living in peace. They're living in joy. And, my grandmother, when she passed away, who I was very close to, Rosaria, told me, I don't want you crying at my funeral, even though that's not possible. She said, I want you to celebrate. I want you to celebrate my life at your funeral. And you know what, Rosaria? Maybe that's what we do. We celebrate the life that they had, the impact that they made, and the legacy they leave, which is you. So I just want to say that we love you. We're with you. We're praying with you. And if you can find some time today, folks, drop to your knees and give Rosaria some prayers for everything that she's going through. Okay? And speaking of prayers, it is time to give our love, our honor, our attention, and our prayers to God in heaven for giving us everything. Like I told you this morning in my newsletter, you can do nothing without God. You can do nothing without God. You may think you're doing something, but you're truly doing nothing. And just like if you go to jeremyherrell.com, the top of the page, the home page, you'll see Philippians 4:13 there that says, "Through Christ I can do all things," right? So I want to read you the verse of the day that says, it's from John 15:5. All right? And it says, "I am the vine, ye are the branches. He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit. For without me, ye can do nothing." And I want to read what I wrote about that. I wanted to break that verse down for you. And sometimes I read different translations to kind of see what they're all saying. And a lot of them have different words, but they mean the same thing. Okay? So let me read to you what I take away from that and break that down for you. This is a very powerful and straight to the point message. Again, John 15:5. If you have your Bibles in front of you, which I encourage you to do if you can, if you watch the show live and you can break out your Bibles, please do so. So it's John 15:5. John's in the New Testament towards the back. And I said, this is a very powerful and straight to the point message. Without me, capital M-E, you can do nothing, but with me, you can do everything. It's so cliche, right? You hear stuff like that all the time, but it's so very true. It is so very true. I can tell you stories upon stories about how everything that I tried to accomplish before my journey with Jesus either ended up in utter failure or didn't hold water, meaning that it didn't feel like something great for very long, almost like a never-ending thirst, like a revolving door. You fill that need, and in no time, you are thirsty for more, right? Have you guys, I want to just take a break for a minute. Have you ever noticed that? Have you ever noticed that without God, no matter how much you do, you never seem to be fulfilled? You always seem like you need more. You do some stuff around the house, and you go, oh, that's great, but now I got to do 4 or 5 other things, and you don't take time to stop. You don't take time to look and enjoy what you already did. It's because you didn't do it with God. It's because you did not include God into that project, into that hobby. But I know most of you understand what I mean, that you just feel empty in the things that you do. And if you feel fulfilled, it's not for very long before you move on to the next thing, right? Okay. I said, you fill that need, and in no time you are thirsty for more. However, with God in mind, and doing all things for him first, or at least including him in my hobbies or my tasks, that made all the difference in the world. We spend so long trying to please others, or worse, ourselves. That is not the way things are supposed to be. You do it with and for God, and everything else falls into place. Ultimately, you find peace and happiness over and over again, day after day. There's never that empty feeling anymore. Things you did 5 days ago, you're still experiencing joy because you did it with God or for God. Okay? But it's all about being sincere and doing it from the heart. It's not a quid pro quo opportunity. It doesn't work like that. It's a surrendering opportunity of the best kind. Usually surrendering isn't so very good, right? But you surrender to God and it's the best. Think about this explanation of this verse today and how you can apply it to your life. And then I said, have a wonderful day. God bless. That's it, folks. And people say, well, how am I supposed to do that? How am I supposed to do it with God? Well, you include God. You speak with God while you're doing it. You ask God for advice while you're doing it. You think of him. You focus on his face. You focus on the cross. You focus on surrendering. And doing that, you never, ever, ever, ever end up feeling empty. Okay, so let's do it, ladies and gentlemen. It's that time to say the Lord's Prayer, and then we'll get to the first and foremost section of today's show. If you can, please say it loud. You don't have to scream it. If you want to, you can. I'm not going to stop you. But if you can, say it out loud so God can hear it. But if not, say it inside so the Spirit can hear it from your heart, okay? Here we go. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Right, Darlene Horton? She said, shout out, please. Well, there you go, Darlene. Are you shouting out that Lord's Prayer? Amen. Let's get right to it, folks. The first and foremost section of today, we are going to be talking about the riots, not the protests. Yes, I said the riots, because that is what is happening all over our country in Democrat cities, in Democrat-run states. And it's been happening since 2016. The little kids who wanted to take their ball and go home because they didn't get their way, they have been burning cities for the last 4 years. They have been blocking traffic for the last 4 years. They have been ripping down statues, indoctrinating your kids, beating police, burning your businesses, destroying your towns for the last 4 years. And yes, I'm talking about that idea that is Antifa and that great, wonderful movement, which is actually a Marxist, self-proclaimed Marxist communist group that wants to destroy the America and the family nucleus. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, BLM, buy large mansions, right? Burn, loot, murder. Not what BLM was before Ferguson. I'm talking the new BLM after Ferguson, when it was hijacked by the Democratic Party to use it as a political arm to get contributions in so they could funnel the money to Democrat candidates to win seats to have more power. Get it? You see where I'm starting to go with all of this? And Antifa's just an idea, right? Well, tell that to the people who have broken bones. Tell that to the people who have burned down businesses. Tell that to the people who have been doxxed and have had their family members hurt, threatened, or material stuff destroyed at their houses. All right, so the riots, they're continuing to happen. Now, I seem to remember something here. I seem to remember somebody who is in the position of power right now. I seem to remember Kamala Harris actually kind of perpetrating all of this, kind of standing behind all this. But before we even get to that, let's go to a first video clip of the day, and this is going to be with the head man in charge when it comes to these riots. He says the word riots, and watch the way CNN and other reporters say, these are not riots. These are not riots. How dare you call them that? The guy's right. These are riots. When things turn violent, or property gets destroyed, or people's lives are interrupted, those are called riots, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe some of these kids who like to take their ball and go home, maybe some of these kids who've never had to sit on their knees in the corner, some of these kids who never knew what the leather belt was, some of these kids who never had any consequences for their actions, maybe some of them need to go back to elementary school where the kids are indoctrinated now and actually pay attention, and I blame it on their parents for never holding them accountable for anything that they ever did. Let's roll this clip and you can see what I'm talking about.
One final question. What was your decision to issue a dispersal order while they were peacefully protesting in front of the police station? What led to you to issue a dispersal order, and then on the back end of that 10-minute dispersal order, then to issue out CO2 canisters and gas for the crowd?
So,
can you talk to us about that?
Just so everybody's clear, I was front and center at the protest, at the riot. We did not.
There was no riot.
There was. So
there was.
The officers that were putting themselves in harm's way were being pelted with frozen cans of pop. They were being pelted with concrete blocks. And yes, we had our helmets on and we had other protection gear, but an officer was injured, hit in the head with a brick. that was a Hennepin County deputy. He was transported to the hospital. So we had to make decisions. We had to disperse the crowd because we can't allow our officers to be harmed. And I've already answered the question, I believe, about your lighting. I know that's a big deal with you, and I understand that, but I thought I've explained that myself. So that is, I told you it's my decision, and that's why I made that decision. Is there another question? Yes, ma'am.
I mean, the room's tense. I can feel it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let's just leave it like that. You heard them. They said, what prompted you to call a disperse order when they were peacefully protesting in front of the police station? Number one, don't peacefully protest in front of the police station. And if you're going to protest in front of a police station, then do it peacefully. Don't hurl bricks. Don't hurl frozen cans of soda or pop if you're from the Midwest. Don't hurt anybody in any way, shape, or form. Don't set fire to things. Don't threaten. Just protest. But if you're going to protest, why don't you do it at Capitol Hill? Why don't you do it at the state capitol where they actually make laws, okay? Why don't you do it there? Because nothing's going to happen from you dummies standing outside of a police station, sitting there screaming obscenities and threatening the cops. The only thing that's going to happen is what does happen. Your dumb butt gets arrested and you get thrown in jail. And it should happen. It should happen. And this is coming from somebody who's been on both sides of the law, who's been those little brat kids who've been doing nothing but causing trouble, and who's been following the law and following the laws of the land and walking a Christian lifestyle and not living that lifestyle. Okay? This is coming from a grown-up who actually knows the difference between right and wrong. Apparently, these children who are actually in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and yes, even 50s, have never learned the difference between right and wrong. And I'll tell you, the media is the one that's perpetrating all of this. The media and the far left. They always have, they always will. Why? Because this is how they get things done. This is how they get things done. This is the court of public opinion. The same court of public opinion that Republicans would start winning if they start utilizing it. You know what I mean? And that's when this is taken. I don't want to go too far off the path here, but when I was talking about Sidney Powell and all of the stuff that she should have released, she should have done something like this. This is just the world we live in. The court of public opinion is far more powerful than the court of law. Unfortunately, that's where we are. So why don't we fight fire with fire sometimes? And I'm not talking about lowering ourselves to a certain standard where we're breaking the law. But we should get information that we want out there in the court of public opinion and not let CNN, MSNBC, and the rest of these swamp donkey news organizations to twist it and put out their own narrative because they have their own agenda. Now, I'm about to play a video for you that I will give you a warning, earmuffs, because there are some F-bombs in here. So if you have any children in the room right now, or even any teenagers that you don't want to hear the F-bomb dropped, you're going to hear it in this video. However, the guy that's dropping them seems to be a level-headed person, knowing that the media are the ones that are causing all of it to happen. And if they're not causing it to happen, they're fueling the fire for it to happen. So let's play the next clip of this gentleman who clearly knows that the media is the reason for all of this stuff to begin with. Here we go.
Now you can see. Now you can see.
Y'all be twisting up the story.
You want to talk to me? Do you want to talk to me? Okay, cool. No, don't take my mic, but we're cool. Okay. What's your name?
What's my name? My name is my name.
All right, so tell me what you think about what's going on here.
What I think about this is all the press and all the extra shit y'all do makes this worse.
You think so?
Yes. When people want to protest, they shouldn't do it in front of a fucking police courthouse. Shit like that. You get what the fuck I'm saying?
I want you to be careful. I really do.
Of what?
Of anything that can hit you. Of anything that can hit you. Look at all the stuff. Of this.
Of what?
Of this.
Do it look like I'm scared?
No, you don't.
Do it look like I'm scared?
You don't.
Exactly. Y'all need to get up out of here with all that twisting up the media shit.
Okay.
Real shit.
You don't know me, but we're going to get to know each other. That's what we're going to do.
Each other,
yes,
huh?
we are.
Let's see.
We are.
How you gonna know me?
We're gonna talk. I'm gonna share a number with you. All right, let's do it.
No, let's do it right here.
Let's do it. All right, here's my phone. Let's go ahead and share the number.
Talk about something that's real.
Tell me what's real.
Y'all just gonna edit out the shit that y'all
We're live.
And then y'all gonna edit out some other shit.
We're live right now.
You're not fucking live.
I'm live right now.
I don't care if you live or not. Get away from here with all that media shit that y'all doing.
Right now.
Look.
We're with CNN.
Then take that camera all the way the fuck up there then.
Up there.
Take it all the way the fuck up there.
Yep.
Y'all doing all the extra shit for the backhand shit to make people look all crazier than what the fuck they are.
All right, then you watch us because that's where we're going. All right, so everybody's got a hot head right now, as you might imagine, because It is.
See, now they don't like it. They don't like it when level-headed people who are actually involved, people who are down there at ground zero, they don't like it when people start twisting the narrative back on them. They don't like it when people call them out. Okay, CNN claims to be that they're down there for people just like this man. But they're not. They're down there to make the situation worse. They're down there to divide and conquer even more. They're down there to destroy more lives, more businesses. Why? Because without Trump, their ratings are in the tank, their ratings are in the toilet, and they need something. They need clickbait, which is why you see what's happening with Matt Gaetz. Okay, you didn't see it happen with Eric Fartwell when he was sleeping with a Chinese operative named Fang Fang, but apparently you take a story that there's no proof and you can twist it and do a wrap-up smear campaign, kind of like Stretch-Face Pelosi described, and you can do it on Matt Gaetz, or you can do it for stuff like this. And that's what they do. So that's why I love guys like this. Now, I'm going to play another video clip for you from somebody who I believe... now, remember when they were trying to get President Trump, and they were trying to get him for inciting the insurrection, inciting a riot, inciting, and just by his words? Okay, well, we played his words over and over again. And nothing in his words said storm the Capitol. Nothing in his words said that he would like to see it. Nothing in his words said, in his speech said that they should do it. Nothing in his speech said that that there was justification for them doing it. Nothing in his speech said that they should do it. Nothing. However, I want to take you back to last year. Okay? And if we can apparently impeach somebody after they left office, we're going to make sure that we keep this clip right here on LFA Media. We're going to keep this clip archived for the future, because you never know what the future brings. You never know where Jeremy Herrell's going to be in a couple of years. And I want to keep this clip that I'm about to show you archived, because, hey, if we can go back and we can impeach somebody for causing bad things to happen, well, blood should be on the hands of Miss 2%, Kamala Harris. Here we go.
A quick break.
Everyone beware, because they're not going to stop on Election Day, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. Everyone beware. They're not going to stop, and they should not stop. And everybody better beware of that on both fronts. Had President Trump said anything remotely that hostile, that stupid, he would be hanging from the gallows right now. And call me a liar if you think that I'm lying, because that woman just perpetrated everything that you see in these streets. That woman is a part of what you see in these streets. And these children and these young, ignorant, completely lost, sometimes stupid, and ridiculous people that are in the streets, you know, trying to justify why they're there by stealing Nikes, and justify why they're there by stealing Panasonic and Samsung TVs, justify why they're there by burning down buildings like Family Dollars and stuff after they go in and loot everything out of there, you know, because that's going to give them, you know, closure. That's going to give them some kind of peace for somebody they didn't know who died to begin with. Now, here's the funny thing about that. If that same person had died in a drug deal gone bad, or had that same person died in a robbery, had that same person died in a gang shootout, or had that same person died in any other way other than by the hands of the cops, none of these people that are in the streets crying foul would care, know about it, or have anything to say about it. Because they're conditioned by people like that crazy woman right there, and they are basically invited to do this stuff. These people that are out there know that this kind of administration and these people in power love this stuff, because the more division there is, the more chances that these people will make more money and gain more power. You think I'm lying? Come on and debate me then. For the one person who nobody cares about, who put a thumb down on this, I would love for you to put your name in this comment thread right here. Put your name in this comment thread if you put a thumb down on this video, and come on and debate me. I'll debate you tonight. I'll give you a Zoom invite tonight, and you can come on and debate me and tell me I'm wrong, because clearly you want attention like the ignorant know-nothings that are in the street burning things and stealing Nikes to make them feel better about a kid dying that they didn't know in the first place. So I would love to have you come on the show and debate me. I'd love that, because you know what? I've been on a diet lately because I'm trying to get myself back in shape, and I'm hungry, and I would love to eat some dumb know-nothing liberal for breakfast. There's my invitation. And that is the first and foremost section of today. And by the way, I will add that dummy right there that you just heard talking, the one that's only ever pulled at 2%, the one that nobody wanted on either side, who's basically trash left out to be picked up on the side of the curb, that know-nothing, right along with the know-nothing who is her boss, who's a puppet, have said back to back now to stop praying. Oh yeah, you think I'm lying? Let me read you a direct quote from Miss 2%, Kamala Harris herself, where she says that we should stop praying. Let me see here. Oh, there it is right there. Vice President Kamala Harris says this, quote, prayers are not enough. Well, first of all, that's where you messed up, because you completely said about the dumbest thing you could ever say. Prayers are not enough. Prayers are all anybody ever needs ever. Prayers are not enough. Dante Wright should still be with us. Oh, really? He should still be with us? Maybe he should still be listening to the police. Maybe he would still be with us if he was, doing what you're supposed to do when a police officer tells you to do something. Does that say, am I saying he should be dead? No, of course not. I'm not saying that at all. But you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. I don't care what color you are. She says she'll still be with it. While an investigation is underway, our nation needs justice and healing. Needs justice and healing, dum-dum? You mean the kind that you just talked about, how people should not and will not stop, that kind of justice and healing? And Dante's family needs to know why their child is dead. I can tell you why their child is dead. I can tell you clear as day why their child is dead. Because their child decided to break the law and then run from police and not do what the police told him to do. That's why he's dead. Is it justify why he's dead? Of course it doesn't. But it is why he's dead. And if you're too stupid to figure that out, then maybe you need to go back to school as well. We should stop praying. Joe Biden said that last week. Resident Corn Pop said prayers aren't enough as well. You see how they're slowly starting to come out and say, hey, we don't even care anymore. It's all out war on white conservative Christians, period. And that's what it's really all about. That's what it comes down to. Now, since we're talking about these ignorant swamp donkeys, let's talk about something else they're trying to do, and that's with Georgia. What they're trying to do is, especially with these 100 corporations that got together this weekend, this is exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to bankrupt states. Think about that kind of movement. Think about the move, and this is what an entire state needs to know, and everybody down there. I don't care white, black, brown, blue, purple, or indifferent. You need to know that the Democratic Party, if you live in the state of Georgia and soon to be Arizona and then New Hampshire and then many others after that, if you live in the state of Georgia, the Democratic Party is purposely trying to bankrupt your state because you made common sense election integrity laws. Okay? And now we hear that a judge, just before I came on, said that he is ordering that the physical ballots that they were supposed to get ready to do the forensic audit on, he says the physical ballots cannot be run through that scanner. The only things we can scan are the ones that have already been scanned into the Dominion machine. So there's a big flip and twist. Okay? But what the Democrats are trying to do, and this is why the 100 corporations got together, because these 100 big major corporations, along with the Democratic Party, are literally trying to take their ball and go home by bankrupting a state. That's right. A legal, set in stone, foundationed state, a sovereign state in our nation, which is basically like a small country. They're trying to bankrupt them because they did not do what they wanted them to do and continue to cheat under 50 Cent. Excuse me, I get the gap in the teeth mixed up a little bit. I meant Stacey Abrams. That's what that big meeting was about. But here's the thing. You can't bankrupt 3, 4, or 5 states, because if you continue to try to bankrupt these states after they continue to pass election integrity laws, then guess what will happen to you? It will backfire on you, just like it always backfires on the dummy Democrats. It'll backfire because in an attempt to bankrupt these states, you will in turn bankrupt yourself because none of you have more money than a state. Duh. Oh, keep going. Keep pushing. We'll see what happens. You'll be bankrupt before you know it. Now, let's talk about a good governor for a minute. Let's talk about a real person for a minute. Let's talk about a person who's on a roll, who's on fire. And no, I'm not talking about the hip-hop patriot. I'm talking about Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. He has already raised $6 million for his reelection since March 2nd. That means in just in just less than a month and a half, he has raised $6 million for his reelection. So if you live in the state of Florida, or even if you live outside the state of Florida, and you want to make sure that people like Ron DeSantis stay in power, then make sure you donate to his campaign. However, that's not what I mean here. Okay, those 100 corporations that are currently trying to bankrupt the state because they, have the right to their own election integrity laws, which, by the way, open up elections for more people to vote. But, the lie is just constantly told over and over and over again until dummies like Will Smith can't even get it. All right. Those 100 corporations, Ron DeSantis came out and called them out publicly and loudly, especially at his roundtable that YouTube took down. He came out and bashed them for being hypocrites, because he said, how funny is it that you guys are trying to boycott and bankrupt small businesses and hurt minorities in the process, but yet you're still doing big billion-dollar business contracts with dictators around the world, people who actually kill their people if they don't do what they want them to do. Dictators who are actually racist against many, many, many cultures and many colors of skin. And scumbags, but owned and paid for by the Democratic Party. Tell me I'm wrong. We got 2 people who put a thumb down now. Please put your name in the comment thread and stop being such a coward. Grow a spine and come on and debate me, because I can do this all day. I hate him. Here's why the left hates him so bad. Because Ron DeSantis is Trump's legacy. Not specifically Ron DeSantis, but Ron DeSantis's personality, his tenacity, his perseverance, and his determination, and his loyalty to the people that voted him in. And just common sense. That is Trump's legacy. Come on. Come on. What's happening? I know, folks. Come on. What in the heck is going on here? Seriously? Stay with me, folks. Looks like we're back. Hold on. I just want to wait. I don't know what's happening, but it looks like things are ramping back up. As you all look at me and like, what is he doing now? Welcome back. Looks like we're back. We'll give it a few seconds here. Make sure that everybody can still stay on the feed. No sound. All right, don't worry, we're working on that. Don't know what's going on. Check, 1, 2. Sometimes we have to deal with this kind of stuff, folks. Russian sabotage. Oh, my Lanta. Let's see here. Folks, let me know if everything is okay, and if it is, we'll continue to go. Okay, so we got people that say no sound, and we got people that say we have sound. So I will wait. A lot of people say we're good, but I'm still seeing troubles. Boy, maybe this is what happens when you tell the truth on things. Take your time, people said. Okay, great. Sound is delayed. Sound is cutting in and out. Okay. So what I'm going to ask you guys all to do is, if you're in and everything is good, then stick with us. If not, you're feel free to back out and come back in. Never lost sound. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to get right back to it then. So that's what Governor Ron DeSantis is doing, and he is going at him. He's calling people out for what they did, and President Trump started a revolution. And here's the thing: Republicans are going to have to realize that their time, their party is over. Okay, because Trump's legacy is people who are not going to bow down to the left calling them racist. Trump's legacy is people who are not going to bow down to the left calling them bigots, because that tired old argument is over. Nobody's listening to that argument anymore. Okay, that argument is over. Every time somebody comes at you with that kind of an argument, it's easy to beat them now. Okay, and Trump laid the blueprint for that, and that's what Ron DeSantis is, and that's why they can't stand him. All right, moving on to the first Dum Dum Award of the day today. Let's just get right to it. Let's play it loud right now. The first, Dum Dum Award of the day is going to go to the CDC. And why is it going to go to the CDC? Well, you'll never believe what they said now. The CDC actually came out and said that the CDC declares, they declare racism a serious public health threat and promises action on health and equity. Let me just read that again so you kind of understand what I just said. Okay? The CDC declares that racism is a serious public health threat and promises action on health equity. First of all, here's what I have to say to that. Let me ask you a question. How can racism be, quote, a serious public health threat? That makes zero sense in any kind of context. I don't care which context you have. That makes zero sense. How can racism be a public health threat? And by the way, racism is clearly not alive and well like they would want you to believe it is. It just isn't. It just isn't. If racism was running rampant and was a serious public health threat, if racism was so bad, then why don't we see the Klan? Why don't we see these racist groups having parties and rallies? Why don't we see any of that stuff? You mean to tell me that it is so secret in a world where everything is on video, in a world where everything is captured and recorded? You mean to tell me that nobody can find anybody who's a racist group, who's out there pushing racism theory and that agenda? I can't find anybody. I haven't seen anybody. So please tell me, how is racism so bad that they continue to make money and get power off this racial divide, and then the CDC to come out and say that it is a serious public health threat? Doesn't even make sense. Stupid. And that's why they get the Dum Dum Award of the day. Now, speaking of the CDC, let's talk about them a little bit more. They've been nothing but wrong and divisive. They are full of liars, and they are full of swamp donkeys with swamp donkey narratives. Look at the shot. Look at the shot that everybody's getting. Look at the mask agendas. Okay? Michigan. Look at Michigan, for example. Let's look at Michigan, for example. If the shot and the masks were needed so badly, then why is Michigan, one of the states that is locked down the hardest, why are they running rampant right now with cases? Look at California. Look at New York. Some of the states that were locked down the most with mandates. Why are they the ones that are hit the hardest if the CDC is right? Because the CDC's got a they're drunk with power. Them and Dr. Fauci are drunk with power. And that's why they can say stuff like racism is a national, or is a serious public health threat. That's why they can say stuff like that and get away with it. Had they done that 20 years ago, people would have been like, oh, that's stupid. That's dumb. Nowadays, people go, yes, it is. It's a very serious health threat. But in the last year, we've seen flip-flop. We've seen fake numbers. We've seen do this, then don't do this. And now, just today, we see the FDA. The FDA comes out and puts a stop to the J&J, the CCPV J&J. Now, if the FDA is coming out and they're putting a stop to it, we know that Georgia and other states have put stops to it, and we know that other countries have put stops to it. My whole point in talking about them is because of the statement that they made that it's a serious public health threat. How are we supposed to take that seriously when nothing over the last year has been taken seriously? Kind of weird, right? In light of all of this, ladies and gentlemen, they still will not acknowledge that hydroxychloroquine and Regeneron are good alternatives. They've still not acknowledged that. As a matter of fact, they've done just the opposite than acknowledge that, and they've told you how bad they are. Meanwhile, they've shown promise to work in tons of people with nothing bad to say about any of them. No bad reactions, no deaths. And now Regeneron has finally reached out for FDA approval. They're seeking FDA approval for this. Well, it should have been approved a long time ago. Therapeutics like Regeneron and hydroxychloroquine should have been approved a long time ago when they were shown that they worked. But nope. These big pharmaceutical companies wanted to make a lot of money, and they found a way to do it. And they keep doing it. Now, let's give our second Dum Dum Award of the day today to... Oop, I should have put that in the rhino bucket because she's a rhino. I'll make sure I fix that. Shouldn't have went in the Democrat bucket. That goes to Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley is going to get the second Dum Dum Award of the day today because she stated an obvious statement yesterday. She said, if President Trump runs, I won't run. Duh. Of course you're not going to run if President Trump runs. Why would you? You shouldn't run if President Trump doesn't run. You have no political clout with Republicans. You have no political clout with independents, and you have no political clout with Democrats. However, rhinos and Democrats, rhinos from swamp donkeys, are who like you the most. You'll never win whether President Trump wins or not. So don't go out there and make ridiculous statements that if President Trump runs, I won't run. Of course you're not going to run. Of course you're not going to run. Speaking of President Trump, let's read two statements that he just put out recently. How about that? Let's read two statements that he put out just yesterday, as a matter of fact. One of them concerning the Supreme Court, and the other one concerning the Matt Gaetz thing. Here's President Trump and what he said about the Supreme Court. Wouldn't it be ironic if the Supreme Court of the United States, after showing that they didn't have the courage to do what they should have done on the great presidential election for out of 2020, was packed by the same people that the radical left Democrats, who they are afraid of, that they so pathetically defended in not hearing the election cases. Now, there's a very good chance they will be diluted and moved throughout the court system so that they can see how the lower courts actually work. With many new justices added to the court, far more than has been reported. There is also a good chance that they will be term limited. We had 19 states go before the Supreme Court who were shockingly not allowed to be heard. Believe it or not, the President of the United States was not allowed to be heard based on no standing. Not based on the facts. The court wouldn't rule on the merits of the great election fraud, including the fact that the local politicians and judges, not the state legislatures, made major changes to the election, which is in total violation of the United States Constitution. He's right. He's 100% right. Keep going, President Trump. Keep letting them know. And then he says, our politically correct Supreme Court will get what they deserve. An unconstitutionally elected group of radical left Democrats who are destroying our country. With leaders like Mitch McConnell, they are helpless to fight. He didn't fight for the presidency and he won't fight for the court. If and when this happens, I hope the justices remember the day they didn't have the courage to do what they should have done for America. Now, unfortunately, it comes back on all of us, right? Unfortunately, it's every one of us who have to deal with this. However, President Trump is calling out the Supreme Court and says they'll get exactly what they did. They'll get exactly what they wanted. And they should have had the courage to do so. Courage apparently wasn't contagious when it came to the Supreme Court. Okay? It looks like the feed is back up and running now, guys. I'm sorry for that, whatever happened, but I just want to let you know that I'm going to continue. Now, here's the second message that President Trump put out yesterday. He's done playing Mr. Nice Guy. He's coming all out now. And like I said, he raised $85 million as of the other day. He's already raised almost $100 million. And we need to get him to $500 million. So make sure you pitch in and help President Trump if you can, because he's going to be the only, like I said, all the Republicans went to him. All roads to the presidency run through Mar-a-Lago. And President Trump is the clear choice for the Republican Party. So that's why they all went to him this weekend, because that's where the power lies. So he put out this next statement. Fake news CNN, relying on all anonymous sources, meaning they probably made the whole thing up, wrote a very dishonest story claiming that Congressman Matt Gaetz asked for a meeting with me at Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, Florida, and was denied. That is completely false. Why doesn't CNN investigate and write about lightweight Democrat Congressman Eric Fartwell, who had a torrid of physical relationship with the Chinese spy Fang Fang, but is somehow on the once prestigious House Intelligence Committee. Swalwell, who ran for president and dropped out with a record-setting 0%, so even worse than Kamala Harris, in the polls, has been compromised and is a national security threat to the United States. He should be removed from the committee immediately. President Trump, you get him, boy. You know what, President Trump? You're going to get it today. Here we go. President Trump's going to get the first Smarty Award of the day today for making such a smart, intelligent statement and for having courage, unlike the rest of the Republican Party, to call things as they see it, just like we do right here on Live from America. Now, that prompted Jim Acosta to come out, and say that President Trump is complaining, and it caused Acosta to bring two more CNN anchors out and just sit there and complain and rag on Donald J. Trump. But let me give you a little bit of insight on people ragging on Donald J. Trump. And this brings me back to an old saying that I remember growing up. It's losers focus on winners while winners focus on winning. And that's exactly what you see. The left-wing media, the mainstream fake news, cannot survive without President Trump. So what they're doing now is they're resorting to picking on President Trump, calling him unemployed, calling him powerless, saying that he has no political capital, saying that nobody's listening to him, saying that his grip on the Republican Party is leaving him day by day. Oh yeah, Jim Acosta? Then why did the Republican Party just go down to Florida to have their little meeting about 2022 and 2024? Because they don't go anywhere without President Trump, period. I would rather vote nobody. I'll go vote independent, knowing that the Democrats will win, rather than vote for any one of these rhinos who are opposing President Trump. So you better think about that before you continue on with your little games. Because remember, losers focus on winners, while winners focus on winning. And make sure, because of what they're trying to do to the feed, share it out. Share it out far and wide, folks. All right, now, President Biden came out last week in the Rose Garden to push gun control. But I don't know if you all heard exactly what he said. First of all, I don't know if you all heard him say that you should stop praying, like Kamala Harris did. But I don't know if you caught this. He said this, and I quote, "No amendment is absolute and is subject to being changed." No amendment is absolute and is subject to being changed. Let me bring something up here for you. Here we go. The 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution, the abolition of slavery. Look at that beautiful document right there. The 13th Amendment to the Constitution. What does it say here? It says the House Joint Resolution proposing the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, January 31st, 1865, enrolled acts and resolutions of Congress, 1789 through 1999, General Records of the United States Government, Record Group 11, National Archives. Passed by Congress on January 31st, 1865, and ratified on December 6th, 1865, the 13th Amendment abolished slavery in the United States and provides that neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for a crime whereof the parties shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. I wonder, ladies and gentlemen, I wonder if that amendment is not absolute. I wonder if that amendment is subject to being changed. Of course, we're dealing with one of the most racist people in the White House we've seen in decades. And why do I say that? Well, all you have to do is roll tape. All you have to do is roll tape on things that Joe Biden has actually said, that Resident Corn Pop has actually said. Here's one of them. You don't be careful, they're going to come put you all back in chains. Remember that? Remember when Resident Corn Pop said that? You better be careful or they're going to come put you all back in chains? Remember when Resident Corn Pop said, if you have a problem deciding whether you want to vote for Trump or vote for me, then you ain't black? What about that? Or what about this one? I used to hang around some bad dudes, Corn Pop, and he was a really bad dude, and I used to hang out at the pool, and the kids used to rub my leg hair because they weren't used to seeing that kind of hair, and the hair used to turn blonde in the sun, and I learned a lot about cockroaches. And we can even go back further to when Joe Biden referred to black people by using the N-word. So we can look at Joe Biden's entire life of plagiarizing, lying, having a crime family, and being racist. But then he wants to come out and say that no amendment is absolute. So I point you to the 13th Amendment, Joe. Is that not absolute? Is that subject to being changed like the First, Second, and Fourth Amendment that you are constantly stepping over the lines to try to get rid of? Don't want us to have freedom of speech. Don't want us to have our guns. Don't want us to have privacy. So you get to pick and choose what amendments are absolute? I'm confused here. But so everybody says the audio does not go with the... Oh, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry about that, guys. Yeah, well, this is the kind of stuff we have to deal with. I only have one more thing to say anyway. And that is, we're going to call Brigham's Hospital. I told you that we were going to call them today. So let's do that. Or should I save this for later? Maybe I should save this for the 5 o'clock show, but it might be too late to call them at that point. Do you guys think... So everybody says the audio is not working. So I don't know. I can't tell because I'm not watching the feed anymore right now. But should we call the hospital now or should we wait till later? There's 2,400 of you here. People say it's fine here. Okay, audio is fine here. Audio is fine. Well, let's call them. Let's give them a call real quick. We said we were going to do it today. So let's give Brigham and Women's Hospital a call, shall we? Let's do this.
Good morning, Patient Family Relations. This is Liz. How may I help you?
Yes, hi. This is Jeremy calling with LFA Media. I'd like to talk with somebody about the recent reports of you guys doing priority Medicare, meaning pushing white people to the back of the line. Who can I speak to about that?
No, sir. Let you know the article that you're referencing is two recent news stories. It's an opinion piece.
Yeah.
Which was written by two physicians. It's not a formal position of the hospital.
Not yet, but there are not yet.
To examine it, sir. If you let me please go through what I need to tell you regarding what you're calling.
Okay, because I'm assuming you're getting a lot of calls about this.
The Brigham is committed to examining and eliminating the many impacts that racism has on the health and well-being of our patients. As part of our Systems United Against Racism campaign, we support efforts focused on improving both the access and the experience of our patients, focusing on community health and advocacy, and increasing the diversity of leadership. As part of this commitment, researchers have proposed a pilot program for heart failure patients that aims to address the racial inequities found in a recent study, which found that race as well as other factors affected who was admitted to cardiologist service at the hospital.
So it sounds like to me like I'm calling from an actual media company, so I do have a question. It sounds like you're reading from a script and not telling me you're reading from a script. So if it's a pilot program, excuse me. If it's a pilot program and that's your policy, that means you are having discussions.
I cannot answer and divert from the question.
You can't divert. You can't divert. You can't answer an actual taxpayer's questions, right?
I am unable to answer.
Yeah, of course you are. Well, I can tell you thousands of more people will call you. Thousands of more people will call you, and thousands of people have an objection to this, and you should not be so rude.
I have told you.
Okay, keep being a robot. Keep being a robot, and thousands more people will call you. Have a nice day and continue to be racist. Goodbye. I have no time for that kind of stuff. If you're not going to talk to me like a normal human being and you're going to read off of a script that somebody gave you to read because thousands of people are calling you, then we're going to continue to call you, and we're going to continue to let people know exactly how wrong it is that you... She just admitted they have a pilot program discussing racial equity. Okay, well, here's the number again. 617-732-6636. Make sure you do the same. Call them and let them know how incredibly upset you are that they're even having a pilot program where this could be considered. Okay? All right, that's going to end it for today's show because we've had a lot of technical difficulties right now, and we'll come back tonight with a bang. But just remember, there are right ways, there are wrong ways, but there's only one Yahweh. So stand up tall, keep your shoulders back, keep your chest out, and keep that head up high, because you are a child of God, and no weapon formed against you will ever prosper. Remember to go to jeremyherrell.com, become a monthly donor if you can, and sign up for the newsletter, and check out all the podcasts and the videos that we previously recorded right there on jeremyherrell.com. Thank you all very much. God bless you. I'll see you tonight at live at 5 for more Live from America, right here from the granite, live free or die state of New Hampshire. Have a great day, folks.
Rebirth of America. Been a long time coming, and we all learned something that we won't ever give it up. No way. Long as I'm bleeding, I'ma never stop screaming that we first.